Yes, I'm aware this makes me seem very chronically online, but shut up. You clicked on this video, so you care. Anyway, I hate, well, honestly, just mildly dislike those common TikTok phrases you seem to see in every comment section. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, that's not. This pissed me off. Womp womp. Now, I agree. They can be funny sometimes, alright? But my main critique of them is the complete lack of any critical thinking skills necessary to post them. All these phrases are so vague that you can throw them at any TikTok with minimal brain on autopilot effort. People don't need to think about why they disagree with something. They can just type out, oh, that's not, and move on with their day. Which, like, sure, whatever, who cares? But maybe if they actually had to type out why they're pissed off at something, they could A, realize they don't have a proper explanation or valid reasons, and maybe that might prompt a little bit of self-reflection. Or B, they do have a valid criticism or counter-argument, and if they shared that, that may help other people and the creator realize what is wrong with the creator's point far more than just saying, this pissed me off. And sure, I get it. I know that most of us go on this app to relax or to waste time, and probably don't want to get into long-winded arguments or critical discussions. And if that's what I'm looking for, I'm not going to get it from the app that gave us Strawberry Cow. And I also understand that from a psychological point of view, if a creator's opinion or take maybe makes you frustrated, the easiest way to get rid of that annoying, uncomfortable feeling may be to type out, oh, that's not, and click post. So I get it, but I've noticed that, at least for me, I've become a lot meaner and more judgmental in my head since I started using TikTok more often. And I think these phrases are partly to blame. When I see a TikTok, sometimes I'll get annoyed at someone not because of what they're saying, but because of their vibe or demeanor or the way they present themselves or the tone they talk in, which I think perfectly encapsulates the "this pissed me off" comment. You're not pissed off for any real, valid reason, more so just at someone's vibe. And I don't think that's healthy for your mental well-being to constantly get annoyed at everyone based on their first 2-second impression, nor fair for the creator to hear that. And I know I can be judgmental in that way too sometimes, but I keep that to myself. And I also acknowledge that I'm getting annoyed for no fair reason, so I tell myself to stop. But overall, I'm sure I started becoming more judgmental because hating on everyone for no reason is so normalized on TikTok that now it's normalized in my head. And these types of phrases make that hating so easy because you don't need a valid reason to say them, and because they're so vague that you can throw them at anything. But what do I know? I'm no psychologist. Also, by the way, I know it's the internet, so people will be mean no matter what. I'm just more concerned on why it seems that TikTok comments are meaner than, let's say, YouTube comments. I also think it can't be good for us if you do have a valid criticism, but then resort to saying, oh, that's not. Because at that point, we're losing our ability to put our opinions into words and communicate effectively, and instead rely on phrases that are so vague that they ultimately don't mean anything. That can't be good, right? And you might be like, oh, I do know how to express my opinions. I just don't want to do that right now for a TikTok I saw. And yeah, I get that. I have that same mindset too. But I've noticed that, at least for me, I use that excuse a lot. For some reason, I'm on math TikTok, and I'll get a math problem, and the TikTok will say, can you solve this? And in my head, I'll be like, yeah, of course I can solve that, but I just don't want to do that right now, so I'm just going to open the comment section and see what the answer is. But can I really solve the math problem when I have that mentality every single time a math TikTok shows up? I have not taken the time to solve a single math TikTok once. And I haven't done proper math since high school, so I'm sure my math skills are rusty. And if I were to try to solve the math problem, I'd probably have to review some theory. So I feel like it's the same for people who are like, I do know how to express my opinions. I just don't feel like doing that right now. Like, can you really though? Or would you have to take a moment to relearn how to put your thoughts into words effectively? And if you feel like you can already do that, how can you get better at expressing your opinions if you never practice? Also, how are we supposed to learn from each other's points of view or improve our understanding of any topic if we all just keep repeating the same lines over and over again, like we're in Brave New World? Okay, that was a bit dramatic, but you know what I'm trying to say. And like I said before, I'm probably expecting too much from an app inhabited by children. Another less dramatic angle to look at this from is that I feel like these types of comments are the equivalent to dislikes. And this is another reason why I don't support the removal of dislikes. I understand where companies are coming from, but now that there is no dislike option, people resort to using comments as dislikes. And because hitting the dislike button is easy, the comments have to reflect that, and typing out these phrases is easy. And I feel like that's part of the reason why TikTok comment sections are so negative. Because when people like something, they'll just heart the video. But when they disagree with something, they go into the comments to have their opinion validated, and then like the comments that do. So it's a form of dislikes. So in that sense, I do understand when and why people use these phrases, and also that to serve their purpose, they don't need to be super long or intricate. And I know at the beginning of this video, I encourage people to write out why they are pissed off at something. But that's not to say I'm against people making fun or responding to something with jokes or short, witty lines. Which I think is how these phrases, especially womp womp or the world kept spinning, originated from. I'm sure they were funny at first, and I'm all for that. But these specific TikTok phrases have become so overused that they've turned stale and then meaningless. But I've also seen them used as a reasonable response, so I'm not saying you can't write witty lines that comment on issues, nor do you always have to write a paragraph explaining why something is wrong. But if you're using a short witty line to show your disagreement, make it original. Why are we copy-pasting the same lines under every single TikTok? It's boring! Which is the most hard-hitting and important criticism I have. Speaking of overused lines, another line I don't like is womp womp. Okay, I admit, it can be funny sometimes, and also maybe a bit old now, but I think it perfectly displays the general desensitization that fast-paced apps like TikTok create. Desensitization, I think, is already a big problem on TikTok. Because what do you mean? I can see a heart-wrenching video and get tears in my eyes and all the comments are also sad. And then one scroll, a millisecond later, I'll see a shit post and start laughing. That kind of repeated whiplash of emotions can't be good, right? Because this leaves no room to breathe or let these emotions sink in, which I'm sure desensitizes us to everything we see on TikTok. And this desensitization is also promoted by phrases like womp womp or the world kept spinning. But it's also not that surprising that those phrases have gained popularity, because eventually you'll grow numb to that kind of whiplash of emotions and then not really care about anything, even if you should, because of the way that issues are presented on this app. I got this video recommended to me while I was scripting my video, which I think explores the lack of empathy that these types of phrases help endorse. And it's also by a small creator like me, so I wanted to promote it. So if you're interested in hearing more about the lack of empathy on TikTok, go watch that after my video. And ultimately, I know the reason for pretty much all my points is that the majority of the users are children who lack emotional maturity. And because this is an app where people go to relax, they may not want to write essays in the comments. I know that if I were expecting critical discussions, I'm 100% on the wrong app. I know that maybe at the end of the day, as some may say, it really is not that deep. And I may be overanalyzing a few short lines. But TikTok influences so much of how we see the world and the way we talk to each other and the way we treat each other. So I think it's maybe at least important to consider. Like I said, I feel like I've become meaner, and I slightly blame these phrases for it. Another example for me on how TikTok has influenced the way I see the world. About a year ago, when the new president of Finland was being elected, every single video on my For You page was, "I'm voting for this unnamed candidate," or like videos of people writing that candidate's number on the voting paper thing. And because every video and comment I saw was people endorsing this person, I was so sure that they were gonna get into the top 2. But that didn't happen. The candidate didn't make it top 2. Ha! Loser! So I'm sure if your For You page is filled with everyone doing X or saying Y, you'll think that's normal and how the real world works. And then that'll impact your personality and your worldview. And I'm sure the emotionally unintelligent kids on TikTok are influenced the same way I was, probably even more. So maybe it is that deep. Who knows? Not me. I just like ranting about things. What do you think? Is it that deep? Honestly, I'm on the fence about this because I haven't really heard anyone else talk about it. So maybe I am overanalyzing a few words in the comment section. Or maybe we're all turning into mindless robots. Womp womp. And before anyone comments, bro was told womp womp and took it personally. No. Someone commented and the world kept spinning to a sad edit of the Minecraft HappyCast update, and I took that personally. And so I made an entire YouTube video. What a good use of my free time. Anyway, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and maybe we can foster critical discussion. And while you're there, please subscribe for more videos of me ranting about whatever I'm annoyed at that week. Okay, bye!